Hey everyone, Daniel from AngelDAO here. In this video, we're going to walk through how to show the Ethereum data that we stored in MongoDB in the last video on Grafana. To recap, in the last video, we took all our formatted events and stored them in MongoDB. So to start, we're going to configure Grafana. The first step we're going to cover is the plugin. So Grafana has plugins that you can use in your dashboards, and the one we're using is the JSON plugin. I'm using the JSON plugin because I think it's pretty simple and standard. Most people know how to work with JSON, whether you're using an API or creating one. So I chose that over MongoDB or whatever other plugin they had for that reason. This is the command that you're going to run. So make sure you have the Grafana CLI downloaded. Next, we're going to cover the Grafana server. So everyone's going to have a different way of, I guess, installing this and running this based on the operating system you're on. So for me, I had to install everything through Homebrew, but my plugins were installed through a different package. So anyway, you're going to run that command. You should have this output or something similar. And let's see, localhost 3000. That's where your server will always be hosted at, and it works. So just to highlight before we move on, the plugins for me on Homebrew were not getting installed with the Homebrew Grafana installation that I had. It got installed in a separate area, so I had to set that flag to that path. So just be aware of that if you have that problem. Next, we're going to cover the create configure dashboard panel. So you're going to come in there and create a dashboard. It's pretty simple. I already created mine, so I have it here. You'll have an option here to create a panel whenever you create your dashboard. I already created mine, so the next step is to add the JSON as a data source and then add this to the query body. So we're going to edit the panel, and you'll see here this is the data source. So this basically tells Grafana how to get the data that it's going to display. So we're going to go down here to configuration, data sources, and you'll have a long list of data sources here, and you'll basically just want to type in JSON, and once you see it, you'll click on it, and then you'll have this screen to configure. And really it's pretty simple. You just need to add the URL section. You'll need to add whatever URL you're using to host your endpoint at, and then you'll see here my endpoint's working, and I'll kind of go over what that's really doing, but it's basically just sending a request to our endpoint. So next we're going to go over this query body section. We've added the data source and created the panel, so we just need to add this to the query body, which will help our backend know what data it needs to be providing. So that completes the configuration for the panel for now. Next, we're going to get into the code. So in the services directory and inside the event points directory, we have the format grafana.js file, and show you how that looks. But basically, it's just going to format our data to be in accordance with the time series data format that the plugin has. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing here. So to go over it line by line, basically we're getting the events from the event point collection. So we're getting all of them sorted by block number, and then we're setting this response const to house all of our data points for our target. And this can be extended if you have more target types, but for now we just have the ETH DAI debt. So we're going to go through each one, or each event in the array, and we're going to push the relevant data into the data points for our ETH DAI debt target. And that's pretty much it. So the next directory is the utils directory, and again, this is a pretty simple function. I'll just go ahead and show it. Basically, this is just making data look prettier. It's not really doing anything core, but it fills the data between now and the last point with points if necessary. So if the last point was a long time ago, then it would look funky on the chart, so this just fills in that space. Next, we're going to go over the server.js file. And basically what we did here is just add the post routes in compliance with the plugin format. So I'll just show you. We needed to add the search route and then the query route. The search route is for basically the metrics selection, and then the search route, or I'm sorry, the query route is replacing our old get route that we had. So to kind of clarify and go over this again, basically we have our get route, our old one, and the old data that was in it here, we moved to this post route, the query route. And then we created this post route for search. I'll show you why search is relevant. So this metric selection is basically sourced from this post route here. So that data is what fills this selection. And the get route, I'll kind of explain why we even have that still. So whenever we went to add the data source and configure, there was this save and test button, and when we click that, that is actually sending a request to that get route, and us sending it back lets Grafana know that it's working. And then we have the query route, which basically just does what our old one did, but now it formats the data and then goes through the data filler if it needs more data. So let's go test out our Grafana panel and see if we can get the data loaded. So we're going to come in, we're going to edit, and we don't have our body here. Okay, we're going to add this here. I do want to mention quickly, this isn't really being used in the current code. I wanted to add it though because if you were to extend this application, you would want to have a way to interact from Grafana, specifically a panel, to your endpoint. And so I included this because I thought it would be relevant if you want to extend the application. So it's not really being used here, but this is why I'm including it. So putting that in the body. And then to actually get data to show, you see here, it's not sending any requests, not even loading. So what you need to do is actually change the metric selection. So you have to set this metric. Let's make sure our server's running first. Okay, it's running. So what you need to actually do is pick. So we're going to pick this. As soon as you set that metric, then you can fire off requests. And here's our chart of all our data. So cool, everything's looking good. That is going to do it for this video in the Grafana DeFi dashboard series. Like always, the code in this video will be in the GitHub repo, which the link for that will be included in the description box below. Please feel free to leave any feedback on things I can improve on. I plan on making more of these walkthroughs on interesting topics and technologies in the crypto space going forward. So I want to improve the content the best I can so it can be useful for you guys. Also, if you want to see more from me, feel free to subscribe. See you guys in the next one.